Blessed Rising Soul Family. Greetings to you all my beautiful kings and queens, my gods and goddesses. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, welcome to Soul Family Oracle, where I deliver messages from the divine, the depths of our soul, our spirit guides, and our ancestors of the highest white light. And if you're returning, as always, thank you so much for your energy and for your support. Today's download has been forming for the last few days, and when it came through, it basically said that you have cleared the karmic debt that was contracted to you in this lifetime. You have cleared the karmic debt that was contracted to you in this lifetime. Whoever I'm speaking to, you came into this lifetime with, I'm hearing a list. So kind of like a list of things that you needed to close out, a list of karmic trains that you needed to stop, a list of karmic patterns that you needed to put an end to. And your life from the beginning may have been like a series of like hardships and things that would put you in a situation of like basically making a choice, either making a choice to do better or make a choice to remove yourself from a certain situation. But there's always been a point where you had to make a choice, right? And I feel like in these situations where you've had to make a choice, it hasn't even been in a way where it's like you've had to make a choice where a choice was available to you, or like the best choices were available to you, or you had like good choices available to you. I feel like it's been in ways where you had to make a choice between the rock and a hard place, right? Where it's been like choices that have been between things that would be much difficult in the end, or would become much difficult or become an issue for you in the end, and things that would be difficult in the now or in the moment now, with hopes of becoming better, not even like any assurance, right? And I feel like somehow you've always had the sense that taking the high road was going to be a better route for you, as in it was going to bring more rewards in the end. It was going to lead you to the light. And it may have not always been like this, where you were always like first to choose to walk in the path of the light, or first to like, do things in a way that would bring you positive results at some point down the line, right? You may have been somebody that would seek instant gratification or seek like external validation instead of seeking things that would benefit you internally. But I feel like this is specifically because of all these different karmic contracts that you came with, right? And so the earliest part of your life, right, has been basically you having to deal through things that would allow you to clear the karmic debt, or things that would bring you back to a point of having to choose between an old cycle or a new cycle, where the old cycle would lead you back to karmic patterns, and the new cycle would take you out of it and like introduce you into a whole new state, a whole new life, right? And another thing that was coming through heavily, 0330 on the time, and now 333. Another thing that was coming through heavily was how, for whoever this message is for, you have started a new cycle, and it's almost like starting on like a whole like a clean sheet, a clean plate, right? And this was basically coming in as like a lot of people that this message is for. You have reached this point where you can feel like you're starting like afresh, like everything is beginning anew, like things have changed. But not in the sense like they've changed and it's like a whole new thing. It's almost like it's almost like a whole new life, right? Where it still feels like you are in your life, but everything feels different, right? But that's because you, the person, you, the individual, are going through the change that is changing your life, right? It is not your life that is changing and you are changing along with it. You, the individual, are the person that is changing and your life is changing along with it. You understand? And I feel like this is very heavily to do with the fact that in the beginning stages or the early stages of your life, you've had to deal with karmic debt, and you've had to go through situations where you were plunged into negative karma, or plunged into negative karma, or forced to take the path that would lead you to positive karma or dharma, like some people call it, right? And I feel like this has been, again, so that you would be able to get the chances you needed to redeem yourself or to clear these karmic debts. So in a way, it's been like all the different misfortunes and all the different things that have brought about difficult decisions have been opportunities to help you leave the old cycle, and to clear the karmic debt has been opportunities to help you evolve, right? So again, whoever I'm speaking to, you may have been somebody that has really noticed how a lot of the things that have been in the beginning of your life, have been a part of the beginning of your life, has almost been like trials, right? I'm hearing trial and error. So for some of you, they've been like trial and errors, and for some of you, they've been like trials, right? They've been like trials, like literally like trials to kind of like to basically test you, test your patience, test your anger, test your intelligence, your emotional intelligence specifically is what I'm hearing, right? Test your divinity, test your integrity, test your honesty, right? And all these have been, again, so that you would have a fair chance to redeem yourself and to release yourself from the karmic debt, in order to be able to have that second chance at life, in order to be able to have that second phase where you start afresh, without the karma, without the influences, without the toxic patterns, without the burdens of the past life. And I feel like this is that stage that we're in right now. 642 on the timer, that translates to 66. And I feel like this is that time that we're in right now, where you are finally starting over from a clean slate. You are finally starting over from like a whole new point. And I feel like there's a need for me to explain that starting over with a clean slate doesn't necessarily mean that you are starting in a phase where things are much better than they were before, or where you started. This could be in a sense where things are actually nothing like they used to be, where you don't have as much money as you used to have, you don't have as many friends as you used to have, you don't have as many material things as you used to have, but you have more peace, you have more stability, right? You have more self-love, you have more self-confidence and higher self-esteem. So I feel like with a lot of you that I'm speaking to, there's abundance that is in this energy that you are stepping in, or this new phase, right? Abundance that is not attached to any form of karma, or attached to any form of like consequence, or attached to anything that has to do with something that you did wrong in the past, right? But it's in a form where it's like it's still a certain level of abundance that you've never felt before, because in a way, again, like this could be peace, and peace, you've never felt peace like this before, right? Where maybe throughout your life it's always been turmoil, and even in the times where you were having fun, or in the times where you were enjoying your life, there wasn't exactly like a lot of peace in your life, right? And for some of you, this could be confidence, where even though you had everything you wanted from the beginning of your life, or growing up, or at some point, you never really had the confidence. You've never had like a higher self-esteem, and so maybe you've always been in a certain position where you've never really lived up to the fullness of who you truly are, right? And this could have well been as a result of all those different karmic debts that was contracted to you in this lifetime that you had to clear. So again, for whoever I'm speaking to, there's also the need to understand. I'm getting something about guilt. There's also the need to understand in this lifetime that a lot of the things that you've gone through, a lot of the things that you've had to experience, or even had to do willingly by choice, hasn't exactly been in your power to control, hasn't exactly been within your means. 0909 hasn't exactly been within your means to change, right? This is because these things have been like a constant in your life, due to the fact that they are part of a karmic debt that you had to clear, right? And so there was no way that you were going to be able to like go around it, or to be able to avoid it. I feel like my voice is a bit husky. I hope the sound is clear, and then you can hear me properly. I just woke up, so I'm still very much in my morning voice. But yeah, if it's low, turn up your volume. That should solve something. Yeah, so again, there's a need to understand And also with this guilt that was coming in, there's a need to understand something about guilt, right? And so for some of you, you may be carrying around some type of guilt, right, about who you are or who you used to be in the past, like about the kind of life you used to live or the kind of things you used to do, right? And I feel like this is coming in a way that's like bringing a lot of guilt, shame in your energy, or like you low-key carry around some kind of guilt and shame because you look back at some of those things you did and you're like you feel very remorseful, or you feel ashamed because you don't recognize the you that did those things, or you feel like, how could I have done those things? But again, that you that was operating from that energy, that was you operating in the energy that would allow you to clear the karmic debt. So I could be speaking to somebody whose past record is nothing to be happy about, right? You may have like a track record of like heavy toxicity and like heavy negativity and like heavy negative patterns in your energy from the past. I'm speaking to somebody that may have lived like a very toxic lifestyle in the early part of your life, or like the most part of your early days, right? And I may be speaking to somebody who is literally just coming into their awakening and coming into the awareness of like how they're living, right? So let's say if you're 50 years old, right, you could have gone through the first 40 years of your life literally being like an asshole and literally living anyhow because you didn't care about others, or you weren't awakened and you weren't in touch with your emotions because you were blocked off from certain things, whatever it is, right? And so it's like the last 10 years has just been you getting to know yourself through the awakening, right? Getting to understand why you used to be the ways that you used to be. And for some of you, you may have not even understood why you were the way that you used to be, right? And there's a need for you to understand that there was a purpose to that, right? There was a purpose to you being the way that you were. And for whoever I'm speaking to, that purpose has been fulfilled, because that has led you to this point where now you can look back at who you used to be or who you were, and look at who you are now and realize and see how much difference is in it, and realize how much difference has been made in your life, or how different you are now. There was something else coming through that. Okay. There was something else coming through I wanted to clarify before this came up, and then I can't remember. So, oh yeah, thank you, Spirit. It had something to do with me. And pardon me, I know I speak about myself a lot in the readings, but I am my own testimony. I am my own testimony. I am my own stories, So there's a lot of things that I've experienced that I can relate to the collective, or like things I've experienced from the past that people are going through now that I can relate to my story. So there's always something about me or something I've experienced or been through that I guess compare to what I'm sharing, or some of the downloads that I receive. And I feel like, yeah, and what I wanted to say was how I was just I was having a conversation with someone that's like a younger sister to me a few days ago. Like, I don't have a younger sister, so she's like a younger sister to me, and I was having a conversation with her a few days ago, and I was telling her about how I, some situations I was in with my mother, right, when I was young. And I was trying to explain to her that in those times I was a very, very stubborn, teenager as well. Like, I was in my teenage days, I was quite stubborn. Like, I was very disruptive in some ways, and I was very strong-willed, and I was very stubborn. Like, I was a real rebel when I was a teenager. And I was trying to explain to her how, even though now I sit here and speak of how certain things weren't right for me when I was growing up, and how certain things were unfair to me as a teenager, I was also quite stubborn. I was like a rebel. There were things that I would do that were bad, or things that I would say I'm shameful of now to speak of, that I used to do when I was a teenager or when I was young. And it was definitely things that would put stress on my mom and stuff like that, right? And relating it to the story, I was looking back and thinking that, wow, all those things that I did in my past, all those things that I involved myself in my past, even from after I was a teenager, at some point as an adult, I see how all those things were things that were coming back around, so I would have the opportunity to decide to act otherwise. So I would have the opportunity to decide not to do them. I would have the opportunity to choose the latter, right? To choose a new path, right? And so for a lot of you, there's been many things that you think that you did wrong, or many things that came your way that you didn't handle well, or that you didn't handle in the way that you would have preferred to handle it. But that's because those things, they weren't just situations. These were karmic patterns from your past lives that were repeating themselves. And so those things felt more difficult to handle. You felt more inclined to make the wrong decisions about them, right? Or you made many mistakes surrounding those things because they were much heavier to release. They were much heavier things to deal with. These were things that were from karmic past lives that you were meant to like release, right? So I feel like for whoever this message is, you are needing to understand that a lot of the things that were out of your control, or a lot of the things that you had to repeat, or a lot of the patterns that have repeated in your life, or a lot of the patterns or cycles that you've had to go through over and over again, where you may think that, oh, I didn't do well in this situation, or like I keep making a mistake in this, or why do I keep falling back into this pattern? It's because these were past life karmic contracts that you had to sort out. These were past life karmas that you had to release, that you had to deal with, right? And so even though they may have happened in a situation where you felt like you had power, or you had some level of control, some form of control, they may have felt very heavy also. Like in one instance, they would feel like if somebody asked you what you would choose, or how you'd behave in a certain situation, right? You are so sure that you would choose the route, or you would make the decisions that you would term to be positive, right? But then you end up in those situations and you realize that it's not so much black and white, right? That there are things within you yourself that maybe restrict you from making the decisions that you originally intended to make, right? Or things about you that you realize along the way that put you in a state that maybe causes you to make the wrong decisions. So I feel like 1733 on the timer, and it's exactly 7 a.m. So I feel like with this message, it's saying that you have cleared past life karmic contracts as a result of the things that you've been through, right? And it's like you have been doing this without even knowing it. And again, you have reached a point where you feel like it's a clean slate. It's like a brand new start. But that's because the karmic contracts have been dealt with. They have been released. These cycles have been finalized and closed out. So now it's like you're really starting your life again. It's like now you are really about to live. Now you are like going to be living your life to the fullest. Now the things that are going to be coming your way are not going to be intentionally to trigger you or intentionally to tempt you into making a certain decision. These are things that are going to be like purposely put in your path to help you to live to the fullest. These are things that are going to be put in your path to like help you to choose things that are aligned with your peace, aligned with joy and happiness, aligned with expansion, right? So for whoever this message is for, you may be in a state of newness that is really like kind of like altering, yes, I wanted to say alter, not exactly like alterate. That kind of like has altered how you see things, right? How you view things, how you see yourself and even your world, right? Your understanding of things are changing and are changing drastically, or have changed drastically. The way you view others, the way you view yourself, right? Even for some of you, the way you speak. But that's because it's like that stage of your life that you were in. It wasn't really the life that you were to live to the fullest. It wasn't really the life that you were meant to live, like this is your life. No, it was like part of the life that you were meant to shed, part of the life that you were meant to heal, part of the life that you were meant to release as part of like karmic burdens and karmic trials. And now that is done, or now that you have gone through that phase, it's like now you are at the point where you are actually going to be living, 1954, that's like 199, right? And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're 60, if you're 70, 80. Well, that's how long it's taking you to clear the past life karmic debts. Now you get to live, right? And living is not measured by how old you are or how long you've been on this earth plane, right? Somebody has lived 90 years and 80 years of their life was never really a life they lived or enjoyed, but they would consider the last 10 years as really the life that they have lived, right? So for whoever I'm speaking to, you have gotten to the point where you really are about to live. It's like you may have gone through life like struggling, where it's like it's been one struggle after the other. It's been one thing after the other. It's been one karmic cycle after the other. It's been one trial after the other. One thing needing to be healed. One thing needing to be released. Being healed. It's been things and things and things. And for some of you, it's been just you healing and healing and healing. It's been a whole lifetime of just healing and healing and releasing things and learning new things and aligning with new things and releasing the cycles of the new things that you end up in and the new cycles you end up in because they turn out not to be where you want to be, and that this is exactly how it was supposed to be. This is exactly how you and your soul intended for it to be. This is exactly how you orchestrated for this whole life experience to be like for you. Because this was the only way that you were going to really be in the position to release those karmic debts, to clear those karmic debts, in order for you to start the life with a totally new clean slate, so that you are not going into the new lifetime with such heavy karmic debt that require you to heal to heal for like 30 years of your life. And for some of you, some of these things that are being cleared are not just karmic debts from your side, are not just like, things, karmic contracts that were developed by you. These are like things you're clearing out that has to do with like ancestry, right? So these, for some of you, are like ancestral karmic debt, ancestral karma that you are healing and releasing, or ancestral karma that you have been able to pay off, right? So not only for some of you, not only are you paying or have you paid. Well, my eyes are very, very itchy. My eyes are so itchy, so itchy. I've been rubbing them for like the past 10 to 20 seconds. So for some, the reason why it's been such heavy burdens and it's been so long for you to get to this point is because you haven't just been clearing karma for yourself. You haven't just been clearing karma by yourself. Like some of the karmic debts that you're paying off haven't been karmic debts that you incurred by yourself. It's been also generational karma. It's been ancestral karmic debts that you've been clearing up. It's been karmic debt from the past lives of your ancestry that you are clearing up, because you are the one in the position to be able to clear it. You are the strong person to clear it. Your soul is the one that is able to clear these karmic debts. And so for some of you, the reason why it's taking so long is because you are clearing generational debt. You're clearing generational karmic debt, right? You're clearing karmic debt for your ancestry. So if you've been wallowing in guilt, right, feeling regret and remorse, there's no need to keep feeling that. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't be feeling that way. You should be proud of yourself for how far you've come and how much work you've done, right? It may seem like you have been behind. You may actually feel like your life has been behind, or like, you haven't made strides because, you keep repeating certain cycles or keep repeating certain patterns, or like it's just like certain things just keep repeating in your life. But that's because you have been doing much more. Like the kind of work you've been doing energetically is much heavier than a lot of people. Right? It's much heavier than many people have had to do with. For some, all they've had to really clear is karmic debts that they incurred by themselves. But you, as a generational curse breaker, 2444 on the timer, thank you, Spirit, and it's 0707 a.m. The cycle is closed. You have closed out the cycle. You, as a generational curse breaker, you haven't only been fighting patterns and closing out, clearing karmic debt, but for yourself. It's been for ancestry. It's been for like a whole bloodline, a whole generation, right? For the generation before and the generation yet to come. And so the work you've been doing is much, much heavier. You should give yourself like props, like you should pat yourself on the back and be more gentle with yourself. And I feel like this is going to come more effortlessly now, because that cycle is done. The karmic debts have been cleared, and now your clean slate is here, and your life cycle is finally beginning. You are about to live life, and that's the next message that is following this one. As always, listen with discernment. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And if the message resonates, please like, share, subscribe to help us reach even more of our soul tribe. And I'm so grateful for you guys. If you'd like to book a personal reading, you can check the links in the bio or go straight to the website. And if you haven't already put in your birthday to stand a chance to win the free reading each month, you still have a chance to do it for the month of June. Alright guys, have a beautiful, beautiful new week. I wish you would be a week of intentional progress and abundance, of ease, of rest, and of alignment.